So the left finally got kind of what it wanted. They wanted to have an incident where there was a shooting and a death of a rioter. They call it protester, or they call it like a bystander, but that was not the case. If you saw the different angles of the video, this woman clearly did try to run over one of the officers. In fact, she did hit him. He tried to get out of the way. He still got hit by a vehicle. The vehicle is considered a deadly weapon. The way she was speeding off, she was still a deadly threat. Keep in mind, these roads are icy. She's speeding off. She already tried to run over one officer. Who knows what she would have done after that. So he was justified. I've watched a lot of videos of police activity. I know this varies a bit from state to state, but in a lot of states, in fact, I believe most states, it would be a very clear case that it would be justified. If somebody's posing a danger either to the officer or to people in general, they have every, within their, I don't know if you could say like, they're authorized to use that kind of force. They're authorized to use deadly force because the person is a deadly threat. Now, with that aside, the bigger picture here is that the left, that is the establishment and the far left, the ones that are essentially either Marxists or globalists, are going to use this like they've always wanted to do. They've always wanted to sort of that George Floyd moment where they can then try to spin it, which they already are. They're showing you the angles where it doesn't show the officer getting hit. They want to make it look like she was completely innocent. In other words, they're controlling the narrative and they're trying to get people riled up. They want to have more protests. They want to have more incidences like this so that they can pull off something like a color revolution like they did in Ukraine, or they did in Georgia, or they do in a lot of countries where they get so much protest, you get, so much chaos going on, where parts of the establishment, in other words, governors or, local governments, city governments, start to side with the rioters because of the chaos. And then, it puts pressure on the top where they try to force Trump out of office that way. I believe the left is attempting to do this, plus they're trying to win in the midterms. They're going to obviously stuff the ballot boxes like they've always have. And they're going to really try to pull this off. Our Justice Department, unfortunately, is not doing enough to secure the elections that are coming up. So their plan is that they're going to try to, at the very least, try to slow Trump's agenda down. Try all these impeachment attempts, try to put pressure on him, try to change the narrative away from, being optimistic about the economy, being optimistic about the geopolitical events, and then try to focus on the chaos that they're creating. And of course, they're going to blame him for it. So, this is something I've talked about before, and this has been talked about by a lot of other commentators. Obviously, you got to be really careful about this, not to play into their hands. The best thing to do is you speak the truth about it, and then you put that narrative out, and then hopefully the facts will, at the end of the day, win out. You're still going to get a lot of people who, within their wishful thinking, are going to side with the leftists because essentially they feel like it, and their thought processes don't really make the kind of sense that it should make. But it's very important that people realize exactly what has happened and what this is going to be used in order to do what they're attempting to do. So I think everybody in my audience, I think we all know what's going on. We know why it's going on. But it's important not to fall into that trap.